ACMi productions are only made possible with your support. Visit patreon.com/ACMi to learn how you can help. The following program is brought to you by Arlington Community Media, where we tell your story.
This is ACMi News, recognized nationwide as the first place winner of the 2023 Hometown Media Award for News Access.
We are just days away from celebrating the autumn season, a perfect time to reflect on some of the events that took place in Arlington in the summer of 2024. This special edition of ACMi News starts right now.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered, giving you stories that count from people who care. Reliable, trustworthy, dependable. This is the nationwide award-winning ACMi News.
We've been having fun all summer long. Summer days drifting away to, the summer nights. Hot fun in the summertime. Hey, do you detect a pattern here? I know I do. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's end of summer edition of ACMi News. So glad you could join us. Now that it's back to school season, this is a perfect time to recount some of the stories ACMi News did in the summer of 2024. Soon it's going to be time for a general election, Halloween, and pumpkin spice lattes. Ugh. So without further ado, let's reflect back on warmer temperatures and sunlight. All right, Memorial Day weekend. Nearly 100 people gathered at Town Hall to honor our U.S. veterans. They were there to remember those who fought for our freedom, and they never came home. After a 45-minute community gathering of remembrance, there was a procession that followed and a decoration of memorial sites at the old burying ground and also later the Mount Pleasant Cemetery. ACMi News talked to Reverend Mark Bishop, who served in Iraq as a military chaplain in 2003, and Vietnam veteran Bill Hainer, this year's keynote address speaker. To all our veterans, every day, thank you.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies for amber waves of gray, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
This day is so important because so many of our veterans know a name of someone. Like, in my case, I have 12 names that men I served with who died protecting me in a real sense of that, not just as the idea of protecting us overseas. Literally, I was in a space where danger was, and these men protected me, and they lost their lives for that purpose, and protecting the other people in my unit. So we can never forget.
It's important to remember and to pass this memories on from one generation to the next. The other day at the middle school, a girl asked me about being in Vietnam. She was 13 years old. I mean, her parents may not have been alive when I served. It's important for them to know what happened and the sacrifices that preceded them. And hopefully that they'll never have to serve in that capacity.
There's a somberness to the day, but there's also a celebration that gives witness to what the fruits of those sacrifices were.
More than 6,000 U.S. flags were planted this year by the town's veteran services staff and volunteers at the Mount Pleasant Cemetery. As always, like every year, it was a very moving ceremony. We still have it up and available on our YouTube page. Just go to youtube.com/ACMiTV. Again, that's youtube.com/ACMiTV. Remember the beginning of this summer when our brains and practically everything else fried? Yeah, we thought so. Most of June. Remember that? Arlington was under an extreme heat advisory when real field temperatures exceeded 100 degrees. That's when we went to the Arlington Reservoir at the end of the month to see how people were coping with this oppressive heat. Here's ACMi News correspondent Julia Carpi.
As of June 17th, Arlington's reservoir was once again open for business, and not a minute too soon. With the National Weather Service issuing heat advisory for most of the week, these folks were taking a refreshing and safe dip in the cool water.
It's a great place for families to come and just enjoy time with their children and cool off, especially in this heat. It's so convenient that it's right in the same town we live in. We don't really have to go very far. It's perfect.
Well, it's nice because it's, it's all chlorinated water, so it's just nice and cool, and they get the breeze off. So it's just a really, really good way to beat the heat.
If these swimming connoisseurs weren't cooling off with some quick melting but awesome flavored ice cream, they were giving their take on the condition of the water.
The water is really nice, except if you get too deep, it's very hot and it's not that cool.
The water gets hotter as you get deeper? Wow. And how about you?
I mean, it's like a really hot day. It was hotter the past few days, and it's just really nice to get in the water. Yeah. The water's really nice as well, so it's not too cold.
And you guys are friends? You guys like to come here together?
Yeah. Yeah.
June 20th was the summer solstice, when temperatures managed to reach 100 degrees in Arlington. If last week was a portent of things to come this summer, you can bet many area residents will follow Abby and Sophia's lead and take a break from the oppressive heat for some hot fun in the summertime. For ACMi News, I'm Julia Carpi.
For more information on the reservoir and all the fun they had this summer, all summer long, just go to the town website, arlingtonma.myrec.com. Again, that's arlingtonma.myrec.com. This summer, Arlington was alive with the sound of music. The sounds of area composer Hovhaness was staged at the Town Hall Auditorium on Sunday, June the 9th, part of the MIRAC Chamber Music 2024 concert series, sponsored by the Armenian Cultural Foundation. Hovhaness was an American composer of Armenian ancestry who lived in Arlington and is considered one of the most prolific 20th century composers. His catalog included more than 70 numbered symphonies, among more than 500 surviving works. This June 9th event drew a packed crowd to Town Hall. Take a listen. If you missed this concert just weeks ago, you could see it in its entirety on our website, acmi.tv. Again, all you have to do is go to our website, acmi.tv. Hey, the weather was perfect for Arlington's Porchfest 2024, which took place on Saturday, June the 15th. 300 plus porches, bands, and artists returned to the neighborhood this year. Once again, residents enjoyed the raw energy that live music creates on Arlington's lawns, porches, gardens, and front stoops, even back stoops. In a day solely devoted to music, one of the more lively spots was number 7 Bedford Street, right in front of the iconic Regent Theater. That's where Tony Wilson wowed the crowd with James Brown's Get Up Off of That Thing. Admittedly, Tony does a better job than me.
Get up off of that thing. Now say to you, I feel better. Get up off of your thing and dance. Sing it, ladies, come on. Get up off of that thing and dance. You feel better. Get up off of that thing. Yeah. Try to release that pressure. I said, get up off of your thing. You better say to you, I feel better. You better get up off of your thing and dance, dance. Somebody scream. Get up off of that thing and dance. You feel better. Get up off of that thing and try to release that pressure. I said, get up off of your thing and say to you, feel better. Get up off your thing and dance, dance, dance. Come on. Get up off of that thing and dance. You feel better. Say what? Get up off of that thing. Come on. And try to release that pressure. Everybody just wave your hand. Everybody just wave your hand. Everybody over there just wave your hand. Everybody right there just wave your hand. Now get up off of your thing. Say to you, feel better. Sing it, ladies. Get up off of that thing and try to release that pressure. Need no monkey horn. Can't get no monkey horn. Need no monkey horn. Just give it to me, give it to me. Come on. Right here. All right, thank you, thank you. All right, we're gonna try to play something with a little bit more energy.
Tony Wilson is young James Brown. Everyone felt good. We knew that they would now. To see all the shows coming to Arlington's premier showplace, just go to the Regent website. They have a packed schedule already, regenttheater.com. Again, that's Regent Theater with an R-E.com. Oh, the other way around, R-E. Yeah, well, you have it. If you're a regular viewer of ACMi News, you may know we have been teaming up with the Dallin Art Museum for a year now, piecing together an oral histories project. Readings from area residents and museum staff members on stories that connect them with Arlington's own world-renowned sculptor, Cyrus Dallin. For this story, if the name Sterro sounds familiar, yeah, there's a reason. The Sterros were a prominent Beacon Hill family who purchased a second home in Lincoln, just about 5 miles from here. As Cyrus Dallin was at the peak of his craft, the Sterros called upon him to design and sculpt the statue that now graces the entrance of the Lincoln Cemetery. And to tell us about this project, which took place in the early 20s, here's the Director of Outreach for the Dallin Art Museum, Nancy Blanton.
We are standing at the Boy and His Dog sculpture, or Sterro Memorial. It's a statue by Cyrus Dallin, located in the beautiful Lincoln Cemetery on Lexington Road in Lincoln, Massachusetts. The statue was commissioned in 1923 by philanthropist Helen Osborne Sterro of Lincoln and Boston in anticipation of her husband James Jackson Sterro II's forthcoming death. James had been diagnosed with an aggressive malignant tumor in his neck for which there was no cure. He died in 1926. In a letter to Dallin, Helen expressed her wishes for a memorial that would reflect the couple's non-traditional spirituality and also serve as a source of comfort and inspiration to others. The Storos spent much of their free time outdoors, spending many weekends in the open, exploring, canoeing, and hiking. Their first home was in Beacon Hill, but they fell in love with the town of Lincoln, Massachusetts, and decided to build their second home here in 1905, a 3-story, 39-room brick mansion surrounded by 16 acres of open and wooded land. Nearly 5 miles away in Arlington, Massachusetts, sculptor Cyrus Dallin began designing Boy and His Dog in 1923 and completed it in 1925. In her letter to Dallin, Helen wrote, "I should think some figure emblematic of the spirit of out of doors would be appropriate and suitable for us. I am sure you will make us a beautiful one that will have spirituality so that religious people will like it, and at the same time it would be suitable for people like us who have no fixed religious faith in the sense of believing in the dogmas of any church." Dallin created a 46.5-inch sculpture that portrays a young man and his dog, looking fondly at the boy as the young lad crouches and reaches to pluck a flower. Originally placed in a wooded area on the Storo estate, this bronze work is now a beautiful, calming beacon to visitors at the Lincoln Cemetery. The Storos are interred just a few feet north of the monument, overlooking a picturesque pond. The posture of the boy in the Storo Memorial is similar to another Cyrus Dallin statue, the Monotony Hunter near the Town Hall in Arlington. Like the young man in the Storo masterpiece, Monotony Hunter is crouching down to scoop up a drink of water after a successful hunting trip. The Storo Memorial is inscribed with a quote by English poet Alfred Lord Tennyson from his poem Flower in the Crannied Wall. The quote reads, "Little flower, if I could understand what you are, root and all in all, I should know what God and man is." The sculpture rests on a rough-hewn granite stone that is 6 feet high. There are similarities between this work and a 1903 sculpture of Tennyson created by George Frederick Watts, located on the grounds of Lincoln Cathedral in England. Watts's sculpture contains the full text of the poem. It also has a man with an attentive dog, but in this case, the man is Tennyson himself. James and Helen Storo were born into families of great privilege and accomplishments, and each saw that privilege as an opportunity to lead and give back. They were committed to causes ranging from historical preservation to education and social support for less fortunate immigrants in the New World, desperately seeking a new life. Mr. Storo was born in 1864. He was raised in Beacon Hill and attended Noble School, Harvard College, and Harvard Law School. He became a highly successful and influential investment banker who rose to become the 3rd president of General Motors and the 2nd national president of the Boy Scouts of America. He was also a candidate for mayor of Boston in 1909. In 1901, Storo spearheaded a campaign to dam the Charles River and create the Charles River Basin, as well as to preserve and improve the riverbanks as a public park. The Massachusetts legislature approved the dam in 1903, and it was completed in 1910. Mrs. Storo, Helen, was born in Auburn, New York in 1864. Her mother was a socially conscious Quaker. Her father, a manufacturer. Her great-aunt was famous abolitionist and women's rights advocate Lucretia Mott. Helen attended boarding school in Springfield, Massachusetts, and met James Storo while hiking in Switzerland in 1882. They married 8 years later in 1891 and moved to Beacon Hill. James and Helen's only child, James Jackson Storo III, was born in 1892. Helen was an active philanthropist and leader who was involved in a number of causes. She chaired the Girl Scouts World Committee and was a generous patron to the Boston Girl Scouts. Ms. Storo donated $1 million to the state of Massachusetts to complete the development of the Charles River Basin, in which her husband had been involved in prior to his death. It was largely due to the efforts of Helen and James Sturrow that the Charles River Basin was landscaped and turned into a recreational area during the 1930s. To quote Sturrow's son, James Sturrow III, the biographer and author of the book Son of New England, James Jackson Sturrow, "No two people ever saw more completely eye to eye in all the things that count. They constituted a perfect partnership." Though the Sturrows and Dallins came from different backgrounds, their lives may have intersected in other ways. Both Helen Sturrow and Cyrus Dallin's wife, Victoria, were active in women's clubs and passionate about supporting the arts. James Sturrow was active with the Boy Scouts, and Cyrus Dallin was made honorary Eagle Scout after speaking to scouts of his boyhood in Springville, Utah, and how his friendship with indigenous members of the Ute tribe guided his lifelong sense of social justice and heavily influenced his art. Cyrus Dallin was at the peak of his career when he was commissioned to create Boy and His Dog, and it comes as no surprise that Mrs. Sturrow would specifically reach out to him to commission this timeless masterpiece. Looking back nearly a century later, it's clear that Helen Sturrow and Cyrus Dallin both managed to leave behind a legacy of character and faith. Together, they also constituted a perfect partnership.
Few museums in the world are located right here in town where the artists actually lived and worked, and obviously Arlington is among the select few. To get more information on this upcoming series or all the events occurring at the Cyrus Dallin Art Museum, all you have to do is go to the museum's website, dallin.org. Again, their website is dallin.org. One of the most coveted of all professional sports trophies came to the Ed Burns Arena on Sunday, August the 10th. For a few hours, the Stanley Cup paid its first ever visit to the town of Arlington. Even though the mighty Florida Panthers are the current keepers of the Stanley Cup and what was a great Stanley Cup series, maybe Lord Stanley's brief visit here will rub off on the big, bad Boston Bruins this upcoming season. But why did the Cup make a stop here in the town of Arlington? Well, you just have to watch. Hundreds of people stood outside the Ed Burns Arena on Sunday, August 11th for a very special event, an event that required police protection and 2 hefty limousines. The lead limo carrying a VIT, very important trophy.
Hey, how you doing?
Guys? Let's go.
How you doing?
The 132-year-old Stanley Cup paid a 2-hour-long visit to Arlington on what has been a worldwide whistle-stop tour for this coveted trophy. And for all those hockey enthusiasts who patiently waited their turn to pose with the most iconic championship trophy in all of pro sports, it was the thrill of a lifetime.
We're excited. The kid plays hockey for Arlington. He's excited. Yeah.
So this brings out the kid in you, too.
Yes, definitely.
It's really amazing that I got to see and take a picture with the best trophy in the world.
It is the best trophy in the world, and I see that you're a Florida Panthers fan, so obviously you had a very good year.
It was very good. I have loved the Panthers my whole life, not just this year.
The Stanley Cup is the oldest award given to a professional hockey team in all of North America, in the NHL. This year it happened to be the Florida Panthers in what was an extraordinary 7-game Stanley Cup series. Now this cup used to be known as the Dominion Hockey Challenge Cup and is named after Lord Stanley, Canada's Governor General at the time. He donated this trophy to be awarded to the top-ranked amateur ice hockey team in all of Canada. And since then, this award has become such an iconic trophy, and without a doubt, the Stanley Cup is the stuff of legend.
It's fantastic. We're traveling around the Stanley Cup
I still say his hardest trophy in professional sports to win. It's fantastic. No other professional sports does this, where player, team management, equipment people get this trophy for a day and have an opportunity to spend it with friends, family, bring it to hockey arenas that they grew up in, and share it with their community.
But why did Lord Stanley pay a visit to Arlington? Paul Kropelka is originally from Arlington and is now Senior Vice President of Hockey Operations for the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Paul is the son of Marie Kropelka, Arlington's longtime town administrator, who we lost back in 2022.
It's a privilege. It's hard to believe. It's the first time the Cup's ever been in Arlington. And once my name got on it, there was no place I wasn't bringing it other than Arlington. It's bringing it home, celebrate with all the kids in youth hockey and all the alumni who played, dreamed of winning this thing. Now they get a chance to share in it. This is one of the biggest high school hockey towns in the country. Some legends of college hockey, great hockey players, great hockey people have come out of this town. And to bring the Cup home for the first time, it's to honor all of them. It's to honor the entire past of Arlington High hockey and Arlington hockey.
With your name on this cup, I'll bet your mom, who was such an institution in Arlington, would be very, very proud.
Yeah, she probably would be. She probably got something to do with it, keeping a few pucks out of the net in Game 7, you know. But yeah, I'll take it to the cemetery after this and share it with my mom and dad, and it'll be a special moment.
A very special day in Arlington for hockey purists, young and old alike, as the Holy Grail of the National Hockey League pays a short visit to our town. Who knows? We could be looking at a future Stanley Cup champion from Arlington standing behind this coveted cup. Not too far-fetched, considering it's already happened before. For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnes. You just saw Paul Kropelka's name on the coveted Stanley Cup, but throughout the Cup's history, there have been many names etched into that iconic trophy that have been misspelled. The 71-72 Boston Bruins name is misspelled. The two O's in the word Boston are actually Q's. So I'm not even going to begin to pronounce that. Most of the errors are left as they are. Many hockey fans believe those errors add the unique nature of the Cup and bring them luck. We'll see what happens with the Bruins this year. Hey, that'll do it for this week's edition of ACMi News. Do you want to see how we put the newscast together right here in the town of Arlington? Stop by and pay us a visit at 85 Park Ave on Thursday afternoons between 3 and 5 p.m. And if you have any news tips for us, stay tuned in just a few more seconds. You're going to find out just how to contact us. We'd love to hear from you. Meantime, we'll see you back here next week. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us. I'm Jeff Barnes. Have a great week, everybody. Stay cool. See you next week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.
ACMi productions are only made possible with your support. Visit patreon.com/ACMi to learn how you can help.